Roll Tide, everyone, and welcome to TideTV This Week, brought to you by Thompson Tractor. I'm Roger Hoover, joined by Kira Goldstein. And Kira, 2 games in, the Tide rolling at 2-0.
Yeah, it's really good to have a home win under our belt.
Certainly is for the Crimson Tide, and it was great to be back inside Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday.
Yes, it was. Alabama's home opener had plenty of offense, 544 total yards to be exact, and it didn't take the Crimson Tide long to put 7 on the scoreboard.
After the Aggies missed a field goal on their opening possession, it took the Tide only 3 plays to get to the end zone. 78 yards from Mac Jones to John Mechie put the Tide in front. On Bama's next possession, Najee Harris punched it in from 6 yards out, 14-0 Alabama. After the Aggies tied the score at 14, the Tide quickly regained control of the game with 3 touchdowns in the second quarter. There would be another Harris touchdown, and that would make it 21-14. A big defensive play by Daniel Wright made it 28-14. This pick 6 was the first interception of the year for the Crimson Tide, and Wright took it all the way back to the end zone, 47 yards for the score. And then there was a beautiful catch and throw with under 30 seconds left before the half. It was only 2 yards, but boy did they make it look pretty. A great throw by Jones, an amazing catch by Devontae Smith falling backwards. Somehow he got his left foot down despite being shoved by the Aggies defender. What a fantastic play to make it 35-14 Bama at the half.
The Alabama offense kept it going in the second half, up 35-17. Mac Jones with another big throw. Jalen Waddle was on the receiving end of this one, 87 yards to the house, 42-17. And then Will Reichard would add a 27-yard field goal, and John Mechie and Mac Jones were back once again. This one for 63 yards, making it 52-24 Crimson Tide, and that would be the final as the second-ranked Tide rolls over the 13th-ranked Aggies.
Good win for Alabama, and with their performances in the game, a couple of Crimson Tide players earned Player of the Week honors. Quarterback Mac Jones was named the Southeastern Conference Offensive Player of the Week. Jones passed for a career-high 435 yards. That's the 4th most in a single game in Alabama history. Jones completed 20 of 27 passes with a career-high 4 touchdowns. He also had a passer rating of 250.9, and these weren't just dink and duck throws. He was throwing it all over the field, averaging 21.8 yards per completion. Jones was also named the Maxwell Player of the Week.
Defensive back Malachi Moore earned SEC Freshman of the Week honors. In just his second career start, Moore tied for 3rd on the Alabama defense with 6 tackles and led the Crimson Tide with 2 pass breakups. Moore also intercepted Mond in the end zone for his first career interception.
Great performance by Alabama, and as we take a look around the nation, there were several upsets in college football this past weekend as we have some changes in the top 25, including the top 10, but not Clemson and Alabama. They remain 1 and 2 in the polls. Also in the Associated Press, the Crimson Tide impressed the voters with the win over the Aggies as the Tide earns 5 more first-place votes for a total of 8. Georgia and Florida swap spots at 3 and 4 as the SEC has 3 of the top 4 teams in the country.
Auburn is the next SEC team at 13 as they fall 6 spots this week with their loss to Georgia. Tennessee jumps up 7 spots to 14, and LSU moves up 3 spots to number 17. Texas A&M makes it 7 SEC teams in the top 25, and the Aggies come in at spot number 21.
Before we preview the Tide's upcoming matchup with Ole Miss, let's take an all-access look back at the Tide's home opener victory against Texas A&M. This all-access feature is brought to you by Legacy of Hope.
Stadium, where the second-ranked Crimson Tide of Alabama about to take the field, where they've won 32 of the last 33 here at home.
But everybody knows what time it is. I mean, it is getting close to game time.
If there's a prettier day for a football game, we haven't seen it yet.
That's for sure. Trying to find Mechie. He's got it behind the defense. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Alabama, 78 yards.
So if you're an Alabama fan and you were worried there wouldn't be a third wideout to go to, hello, John Mechie.
Najee, left side, finds a hole, takes it in. Touchdown, Alabama.
Mac Jones had that one batted in the air. It's intercepted by A&M. Looks right, goes over the middle. Touchdown, Aggies. 14 straight points in a hurry by Texas A&M.
You just got to come back out and just play the next down. This game of football, it's a game of momentum, and go out and play the next down. So now we need to see Mac Jones and the offense come out and play this next series.
On play action, he breathes and fires a dart to Jalen Waddle out to midfield.
Walks one right side. He'll make the grab on the sideline.
Cuts back and gets the touchdown. Najee Harris, second score of the day.
Taken down around the ankles by Justin Aboigbe. And that was a nice play defensively.
Really good design. Now A&M finds himself in third long.
And the throw is intercepted. Picked off down the sideline. Touchdown Alabama, Daniel Wright.
Go do it again, Bree.
Mac Jones to the back corner. Touchdown Alabama. And it's Devontae Smith.
Touchdown Alabama at the back line of the end zone.
So acrobatic. Wow. I don't know how these guys do it.
That's the man right there. We in there. Never stop.
Mac's going to go long. He's got Waddle behind the defense.
Waddle, there's nobody going to catch him. Jalen Waddle, touchdown.
Finish strong, make sure. Hey, this is what we turn up at, y'all. Let's go. Fourth quarter, 60 minutes. Finish!
Spread that ball around. A little sugar for everybody. And there's Brian Robinson with another good run. Jones steps up, going deep again. Man out there again. It's Mechie. And he is gone again. Touchdown, Alabama. King throws to the corner. It's intercepted by Alabama in the end zone.
Intercepted by Malachi Moore.
You understand, baby? What we work for, y'all, boys.
And that's going to do it. The ball game ends as Alabama has posted a 52-24 win over Texas A&M.
King on three. 1, 2, 3.
TideTV This Week, presented by Thompson Tractor, the exclusive provider of Caterpillar heavy equipment and genuine CAT parts for Alabama and Northwest Florida. Visit ThompsonTractor.com for more information. The University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, for great offers on F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week, brought to you by Thompson Tractor. Well, the Crimson Tide getting ready for Saturday's game against Ole Miss, and we do want to note that has been pushed back 90 minutes due to rain from Hurricane Delta. The game will now kick off at 6:30 p.m. Central on Saturday.
And to preview Alabama's game against the Ole Miss Rebels, our Christopher England joins us now. Christopher?
To preview this week's matchup with the Ole Miss Rebels, I'm joined once again by former Alabama quarterback and current Crimson Tide Sports Network analyst, John Parker Wilson. Thank you for joining us, John Parker.
Yeah, man, 2-0. It's always good to join you after a win.
Indeed, indeed. And this one should be a fun one this week. Coach Saban is now 20-0 against his former assistants, but this will be the first time he has faced Lane Kiffin since he worked for him. Coach Kiffin has already shown some creativity in his offense this season, as always. He's used two quarterbacks on the field at the same time for multiple plays in a row already this season. Do you think everything is on the table from Coach Kiffin's playbook in this one?
Yeah, I really do. And I think he's probably kept some plays, some formations, some things up his sleeve that he hasn't shown the first two games that he was definitely earmarking for this third game against his former head coach, Nick Saban. I think with the two quarterbacks, the possibilities to put those guys on really any part of the field, anything can happen this week.
Now, this game will feature two of the top quarterbacks in the country. Mac Jones leads the nation in passing efficiency, and the Rebels' Matt Corral is third. From a former quarterback's perspective, how excited are you to see these two on Saturday, and what do you expect from each of them?
Yeah, I expect a lot of the same. They've come out to a fast start. Like you said, very efficient quarterbacks. They're taking care of the ball. They're spreading around to a lot of receivers. So it's not like you can focus on one guy. If you're the secondary or the defense, there's not one guy you can key on. I think Ole Miss has got a pretty balanced attack also. Matt Corral's second right now on the team in rushing, but Elijah Moore leads the nation right now, 159 yards a game, and their big tight end, Yaboa, he's fourth in the country for all tight ends. So last week against A&M, we saw their tight end really get after Alabama's defense, especially on third down. So Kiffin is going to look to that this week, try to do some of those same things and keep the passing going against this Alabama defense.
As you've alluded to, the Ole Miss offense has been explosive so far this season as they lead the SEC in total yards through 2 games, averaging 536 yards per game. The Rebels are also third in scoring behind Alabama and Florida at 38.5 per game. How does the Alabama defense match up with this Lane Kiffin Ole Miss offense?
Well, I think he's going to try to test our secondary again. So it's going to be finding those guys and how we do match up. Malachi Moore, freshman of the week this week for SEC, so love to see him growing and taking a bigger role in this secondary. Baxter Surtain, Josh Jobs at corner are playing really good. I think it's going to be up to the safeties this week. Daniel Wright, Jordan Battle. How do they match up against Ole Miss in their passing attack? And you've really got to put a lot of pressure up front for Alabama. You want to be able to rush just a 4-down linemen, 2 or 3 linebackers where you can drop as many guys as possible in coverage, but it's really up to those big guys up front to get some pressure, be disruptive, and that way Ole Miss eventually you would hope they have to keep a tight end to block or running back a little bit extra. So the secondary is going to be talked about, but our defensive line, that pass rush, hopefully they can establish, I think it's going to be the difference in this game.
Well, for the Tide, their offense has been pretty good too. Alabama leads the SEC and is third in the nation in scoring, averaging 45 points per game. The passing game has been very efficient so far, but the run game hasn't been where they want it to be, averaging just 110 yards per game. However, the Ole Miss defense, they allow over 300 rushing yards per game. Will the Tide continue to air it out, or is this just what the doctor ordered to get the Alabama rushing game back on track and keep that ball away from the Ole Miss offense?
Yeah, you would like to see it get going. Just because an offense, you want to be 50-50. You want to be 50% pass and run just to be unpredictable defense. We've been doing a really good job passing. It's kind of overshadowed in the running game. I know Najee Harris, Brian Robinson, and those big guys up front really want to get back to being dominant in the run. Getting downfield, getting those 4, 5, 6 yard rushes on first down. Then it really opens up your offense to do really whatever Steve Sarkisian wants to do. So I think we do try to get back on track running the ball, but at the same time, we've got so many weapons on the outside. It's a tough task for Sarkisian to balance those 2 parts of the offense. And if we can go out there and run the ball in a sloppy game, probably with this weather, that's what you want to be able to do. Well, hopefully we're 3-0 after this week and celebrate a win over the Ole Miss Rebels.
Sounds like a plan to me, John Parker. Stay with us. We'll have more Tide TV This Week coming up next.
Tide TV This Week presented by Thompson Tractor, the exclusive provider of Caterpillar heavy equipment and genuine CAT parts for Alabama and Northwest Florida. Visit ThompsonTractor.com for more information. Ford, for great offers on F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Welcome back. For this week's NFL segment, we're going to do things a little different.
Well, the Tide's NFL stars received a special surprise this week. Let's take a look at this week's Crimson Tide in the NFL, brought to you by BBVA. And it's still just a few months away for the rest of us, but Christmas came early for former Crimson Tide players now playing in the NFL.
All of the former Tide players now playing in the league received a little present from Coach Saban and the University of Alabama.
Old St. Nick sent the players a care package filled with lots of Crimson Tide clothes and apparel, and as you can see, they were pretty excited to receive these gifts.
It's good to play for Bama. You win national championships while you're here, and it's good to see that Coach Saban and the staff still care about their former players after they leave.
They certainly do. Coach Saban and the staff sent out 72 boxes to the NFL players. That's enough for an entire team. Why would you want to go anywhere else?
I don't know.
And we hope you don't go anywhere else, because we'll have more Tide TV this week coming up next.
Welcome back. The 15th ranked Alabama soccer team hit the road for the second time this season this past Sunday. The Tide traveled to Gainesville to take on the Florida Gators.
Getting her first start of the season, Sydney Vincennes made the most of it. Just over 4 minutes into the match, Vincennes stole the pass to the Gators goalkeeper and pushed it right through her legs for the goal. A great play by Vincennes to give the Tide the early 1-0 lead. Bama kept the lead until the 61st minute. Then the Gators tied it up. And then with just 1:17 left in regulation, the Gators are able to score the game winner as Florida rallied to defeat 15th ranked Alabama 2-1.
The Tide gets back to action this Sunday as Alabama hosts third-ranked Arkansas on Sunday at 2 p.m. You can watch that game live from the Alabama Soccer Stadium on ESPNU.
The Alabama men's tennis team began their fall season this past weekend at the Tiger Invitational in Auburn as the Tide competed against Auburn, Florida, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt.
Alabama closed out the final day on Sunday with a strong showing against Auburn. The Tide won 8 of their 10 singles matches and 3 of their 4 doubles matches. A great way to finish the tournament against your in-state rival. Roll Tide, right, Roger?
Roll Tide indeed. The Alabama men's and women's golf team took part in the Blessings Collegiate Invitational in Fayetteville, Arkansas this week. The Alabama men's golf team had 3 finish in the top 12 as the men captured the tournament title by 5 strokes over second-place Tennessee. The women finished 10th, but had Polly Mack finish in a tie for 6th place.
Stay with us. We'll have our plays and players of the week coming up next.
It's dangerously played back to Espinosa, and Alabama poaches an early goal.
Mack is in the shotgun. He'll stand back, looks, throws right side, trying to find Mechie. He's got it behind the defense. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Alabama. Mon gets the snap, stands in. They pick up a blitz, throw intercepted. That's Daniel Wright down the right sideline. He's going to take it to the house. A 46-yard pick six. They need 22 here. Mack's going to go long. He's got Waddle behind the defense. He's going to get a whole lot more than 22. Waddle's got it. He's to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. 87 yards. Touchdown. Mack to Waddle.
Back, those were our ATI Plays of the Week. Now let's take a look at our Players of the Week, brought to you by Payless Drugs. And we start with a breakout game from sophomore John Mechie. He led the Tide with 180 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns on just 5 catches.
Quarterback Mac Jones had a career day with 435 passing yards, the 4th most in a single game in Crimson Tide history, a career-best 4 touchdown passes, and a passer rating of 250.9. Jones's performance earned him SEC Offensive Player of the Week and the Maxwell National Player of the Week award.
In cross country's Mercy Chilangott was named the SEC Women's Runner of the Week. Chilangott, seen here wearing the number 1213, won the Florida State Invitational this past weekend, posting a career best time of 16:53. Not only did she clock a new personal best, but she also posted the 2nd fastest 5K cross country time in program history.
And those are our Payless Drugs Players of the Week.
Thanks for watching. We hope to see you next week. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.
This has been a presentation from Learfield IMG College.